hear some celebrating in that dressing room?
Yeah, the boys have begun a little bit of a ritual. They've developed it. Like I said, we spent a lot of time in the pre-season just working on things that we want to grow as a club and as a team. So, they're happy. So that's important, and they get to enjoy it for today and tomorrow. Focus on the next game.
Yeah, I mean it's the first time the club's won Super Games in history. It seems an odd statistic, but it's one I'm glad you're pretty happy to have.
Yeah, I think it's still important to just start the season so well. We've ended up a lot of things against us in terms of that round one that we didn't end up playing, and a little bit of a period waiting for that next game, and then to go 2 in a row. That's positive for the group. They're working hard, and still a lot of room to grow.
Does it feel like it does set you up or give you a solid base? Is that the importance of a good start? You're not chasing from the start, or what's the importance of it?
I think it just gives them a little bit of belief about the work we've been doing, and the way they've been interacting with each other. I think it's too early to really say what does it do for us in the long run. I think it's 2 games, and like I said, football changes pretty quickly. So we just enjoy today, look at what we can learn from, take a lot of positives out of it as well, and look to get better.
At the ball movement in particular in the first half, I think Steve Ugarkovic said post-match felt like they were steamrolled in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I thought we were very, very good in the first period of the game. I mean, within 30 seconds, we had the ball in the back of the net through some stuff that we actually worked on throughout the week. Obviously, with Becker out of the team, we structurally were set up a little bit differently, and we got a lot of good outcomes from that, but needed to also continue that as the game progressed, and especially in the second half. I think there's room for a lot of growth in that area.
Yeah, they sort of you didn't have the same zip you had in the first half. Was that through them pressing a bit higher, or do you think maybe that was circumstances of the scoreboard? Or
I don't think they pressed any differently. To be honest, I just felt we didn't move the ball well enough, and we weren't playing through them as quickly as we were in the first half. So whether that's a false sense of security because of the scoreline, but for us to grow as a team, we need to manage that second half a lot better than we did, in my opinion. And like I said, I'm really proud of that group for the resilience and the way they're working together and fighting. But also, I still got a lot of belief that there's a lot of growth still to come.
Yeah, I mean, Wellington had 6% of the ball, which is unlike that team that you guys are involved in.
Yeah, that's true. But
Play a bit more direct, was that?
No, we didn't play direct. I mean, we have some characteristics in the team at the moment which give us the opportunity to play in behind teams very quickly if they concede a lot of space. So in Trent and Josh, we got him in behind so many times in the first half, and Reno and Darcy were getting on the ball and causing him a lot of problems in those areas. Just in saying that, like 3-1. Like I said, it can get you into a false sense of security. That's the only thing it probably does. And the mindset needs to be to go make it 4-1 and 5-1. And, of course, not concede as well. But, finish that game off a little bit stronger than probably we did.
Mate, you've got 6 points out of Perth and Wellington. They're probably, if you ask the experts, they're probably teams that aren't going to feature in the top 4. But you've got Wanderers, Victory and City the next 3. Will that be a real gauge of where you're at, do you think? Or would that be a bigger test? Or?
I don't agree, first of all, regarding Perth and Wellington. I think they've both signed heavily and, recruited well. And, Wellington's been one of the hardest teams in the league for a while. And you saw today they got a lot of quality as well. So that's a very good victory today. And obviously we've got, big games coming up, but they're the kind of games we want to play in. And we want to play them in the situation that we are now, which is, 2 wins and go to West Sydney next week. We're undefeated. And, really put on a good show.
Becca Mikkeltas, is he long term, short term? Is it a quad strain or is it a quad?
No, he just. I think he made too many 100-metre runs last week in the last 10 minutes. He felt something, believe it or not, in the 60th minute last week. It probably speaks volumes of who Becker is, that in the 93rd minute he did what he did last week. And we just took the option to not risk it today. So he has trained. He'll be right for next week. That's for sure. And it was very hard to tell him today that we're going to leave him out and just not take that risk at this stage in the season.
The other Becker did a pretty good job of him, though. That was a very good goal.
Yeah, that was a top goal. So the finish is incredible, and he does that every day in training. To be honest, in and around the box, he's one of the best finishers I've worked with. And that's what we need to do. We just need him to get closer to the box and get into those situations, because his accuracy from those areas is incredible.
You recruited 3 guys from Phoenix, and they all had pretty good games today. I mean, Gary scores, and Reno's involved in both, and Josh is heavily involved in both.
Yeah, they all acquitted themselves really well, and they have since the minute they've walked through the door. I'm proud of them, because it's not easy going up against your old team as well. But I think there's a lot of respect between the clubs for how they went about their time at Wellington, and obviously we're very grateful that they've decided to come to Newcastle. And Jimmy scored a great goal, Josh sets up another goal, and Reno was involved in everything that was positive for us.
Yeah, I mean, James McGarry's not one we'd heard much about. We've heard much about the other two, but has he really grown since he's got here, or is it exactly what you expected of him? I mean, he's been good both games, really.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy started out as a winger, and over time, moved back into fullback position. And the way we like to play, he's aggressive, wants to get forward, get close to the box. I think he suits a lot of the things that we like to do. But I really think he's got a lot of growth in him still. I think that he's improving, and himself that he really wants to become a more established player in both facets of the game, which is with the ball and without the ball. And I think today, is the best performance he's had for us since he joined the club.
What about Carl Jenkinson, mate? I mean, he's gone about his business in probably the 2 games and hasn't got the accolades that maybe he could have.
I don't know what the accolades are like, Jimmy, but internally really pleased with how Carl has come into the group and off the field, and how humble he is with the group. Like, he's really stood up in the group as well as a character, and on the field, you don't go play 80 odd games for Arsenal if you don't have some serious quality.
Mate, anything you're disappointed with, or you need to work on specifically in the next sort of 5 days, 7 days?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to work on. I think we got to look at a lot of the positives, the way we started the game, the type of football we played early on, the way we got in behind them, the goals we scored were all outstanding goals. And then how do we manage those moments, whether it's 3-1, 2-0, last week it was 1-0 and we could have kept going. I think that's important for the group to understand that, the way we want to play is it's quite relentless and it's quite demanding, but, there's a bigger picture of where we want to go as a group, and to do that we have to grow in those areas no matter what the score is.
You showed a different game tonight with no Becker and obviously a false 9 or 2 10s, however you want to describe it. Do you think teams are now, do you think you've earned respect? Do you think teams are going to be looking at you now more fearful of perhaps coming up against the Newcastle Jets team than they were this time last year?
I'm not really sure if they respect us or not, to be honest. I just know I just think you got to earn your respect. I respect the playing group for what they do every day. I respect the staff, how hard they work, and I only am able to influence what's internal, and on the external, don't really get too involved in it, Jimmy. To be honest, everyone's going to have an opinion, and if next week was a different result, the opinion would change very quickly. So if you get too caught up in that, you'll lose focus of what's important, and that's just making sure that tomorrow, we get a good recovery and we do a good review, and we focus on what we need to get better at, because we've just started.
You're pretty happy with the progress, though, obviously.
I'm pleased that we've picked up results where performances have for largely been very good, and with large areas to still improve.
Good. Thank you. A week's worth of stuff in your pad, I think.
Come on, mate. Take 2 wins. Go with it.